Episode 2, Rhaenyra the Cruel. We left off with quite the controversial ending last episode. King Aegon lost his heir in an assassination plot. We are picking up the pieces in the beginning of this episode. Men and women being dragged out of their chambers. Aegon is rightfully furious at the death of his son, using a sword on his father's model. He yells and screams in torment. Aemond finds the secret entrance that Blood and Cheese used. Alicent is filled with grief. If she wasn't banging Kristen Cole, this may have never happened. Olivia Cook's performance here is stellar as always, hyperventilating while still delivering the lines like this is top notch, baby. Otto tries to comfort his daughter by promising justice on the culprit behind this. The council convenes over the events that took place. Aegon is a complete mess, breaking things. They speak on who could have done this. As Loras enters the room, he brings news that they have indeed detained somebody. It's Blood. He was caught trying to escape with Jaehaerys' head. Otto wants to use this assassination as a way to hurt Rhaenyra's reputation, having the body of the child pulled through the streets by a cart, shown to the people of what Rhaenyra has done. Alicent and Aegon doesn't like this idea, but they go along with it. Helaena is obviously taking things very harshly. She just lost her son, and she doesn't want to be paraded in the streets for all to see. Her grief is a rough one. Alicent tries to bring up what Helaena saw last night, but she just kind of ignores her. I like the design of these soldiers. The golden dragon of Aegon and the Hightower armor is pretty unique.
Nice.
That's another showing of the Hightowers' power within this realm. Jaehaerys' head is sewn back onto his body and is dragged through the streets by horse. Loras brings down Aegon to execute Blood. He doesn't really try all that hard to get info out of the man. Helaena has a hard time in the carriage. Alicent tries to comfort her daughter. I love this shot right here. I saw it in the trailer originally and it stood out to me. What a beauty.
Oh yeah. Oh. Mwah. The subtle lines, the shading, the just enigmatic nature of it all. All of this is just, it's perfect.
The carriage gets stuck in the mud, which allows the citizens to get closer to the carriage. All of the attention causes Helaena to have a little bit of a panic attack. Rhaenyra gets news of the assassination. She's confused. She definitely didn't have a hand in this plot. Her counselors suspect she did have something to do with it, though. Rhaenys looks at Daemon. This smarty already knew immediately who was behind it. Rhaenyra says she would never do such a thing to Helaena out of all people. She looks at Daemon, and in that moment she realizes who sent the orders. The scene cuts to Rhaenyra and Daemon arguing. Daemon refuses to take responsibility. He says he was clear with his instructions to kill Aemond. I personally think Daemon, in a hasty move to get revenge, ordered the murder of the boy. Just personal take here. Why else would Blood be running off with the head, you know? If the order was to only kill Aemond, why the hell would he think he would get rewarded for killing somebody else instead, you know? Daemon has wounded Rhaenyra's reputation by this act, and the argument grows, bringing up past history. She can't trust him. Rhaenyra points a finger at Daemon, saying that he has used her as a tool to grasp at the inheritance that was taken away from him. She brings up how Daemon was plotting a war when Rhaenyra was given birth all alone. They bring up Viserys. Daemon's inheritance to the throne wasn't taken away, but Daemon gave it up. He was too reckless to be trusted with such power. Daemon admits killing the kid was a mistake, which I think he actually meant it here. Yeah, that man's full of shit, but I think he actually meant it here. I think he realizes what an actual dumb decision that was. Daemon leaves, grabs Caraxes, and flies away, seemingly to Harrenhal. He keeps talking about that fucking place. I love this scene. They bring up so many things that were buried within their relationship and that wasn't really talked about up until this point, and I think it's a very, very important scene between these two characters, and I was waiting for this scene for a long time. There's a lot of stuff within that whole relationship that was never brought up. Very glad they finally talked about all their little issues in this scene. It's a great scene. Very underrated. Probably my favorite scene in this episode. Helaena and Aegon cross paths as they walk up a set of stairs. Aegon looks at Helaena. He looks to her and sees the amount of pain that she's in. He's not the only one sharing this grief. It's a small thing, but I appreciate it. Cole goes into the room Jaehaerys was murdered in. He feels an immense amount of shame, as he should. Game of Thrones loves to create the most hateable characters, and I think we found the show's as Joffrey. Everyone, and I mean everyone, hates this little rat. All my homies hate Cole, alright? They created the stereotypical fantasy knight who falls in love with a princess and spun it on its head. It's kind of genius in a way. It creates this very easily hateable character. He goes to see Sir Eric Cargill. He picks out the dirtiness of his cloak, saying that the cloak is a sign of their dignity. Cole uses his shame to push around Eric. He questions him on his location the night Prince Jaehaerys was murdered. Cole demands Sir Eric to sneak onto Dragonstone to assassinate Rhaenyra, disguised as his own twin. Eric doesn't have a choice in the matter, so he goes off with his orders. Jace and Baela have a scene together. It's nice to have this scene. We don't really see much of Baela. Aemond is getting more mommy treatment at the brothel. We saw this lady last season when she was looking, when they were looking for Aegon. She was his first little lady. Aemond is a vulnerable man deep down and needs some cuddles. He admits that he regrets what he did to Luke. I knew it. I knew he would come back. I knew he would come back eventually.
Hell yeah!
His daughter is sick, and we see a perspective from the small folk. Everyone is hoarding food in the anticipation for the coming war. Alan of Hull has a brother. They reunite after Alan has been at sea for so long. His brother, Adam, thinks it's a great thing that Corlys is in debt to Alan. But Alan is cautious. Adam wants to climb that ladder. Getting close to a lord as powerful as Corlys would make them some money and some power. We're not shown the reasoning on why Alan would be so cautious with this, but I imagine it's within the same reasoning as to why Rhaenys wants to stay away from the schemes at court. Power. Power is a dangerous thing. Corlys and Rhaenys are in bed. You know, for all their difficult problems, it's nice to see an actual functioning relationship between a couple. There seems to be genuine love between Rhaenys and Corlys. You gotta appreciate relationships that function correctly in this series, man. They discuss the situation between Daemon and Rhaenyra. Rhaenys sees through Daemon. Daemon has to be his own master. Adam looks as a dragon flies over him. My theory is that these two are gonna ride some dragons in the future, and one of them's gonna perish for sure. That's my current theory here. One of them's gonna die. At least one of them.
But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory.
A line of rat catchers have been hanged on the orders of the king. We know it's a very familiar rat catcher among the deceased. Many of the relatives of these rat catchers cry out to their loved ones. Otto is furious and delivers probably the most emotional scene we have seen him in this far. The man goes completely bonkers on Aegon. Doing something so idiotic has destroyed the Greens' reputation completely. This was absolutely hilarious to watch, okay? We have never seen Otto show this much emotion before. This calm, calculating man with his schemes has finally had enough of this little terror, this little demon. Otto's slow turn with the long blink after Aegon stated that Kristen Cole has acted had me absolutely laughing. Otto asks Aegon if he ever thinks of his father, his dignity. By the end of the scene, Aegon strips Otto as hand and gives the title to Kristen Cole. That's definitely not gonna backfire later. Otto's by far the smartest one on the Greens' side. Without Otto, pretty boned, okay? Rhaenyra decides to let Mysaria leave Dragonstone. On the way down to her ship, she notices a familiar face walk up towards the castle. Our boy Eric has arrived. What a scene to end the episode on. I only wish we spent more time with the brothers before this happened, but it was still a kick-ass scene. Eric sneaks into the castle disguised as his brother, and it almost works. He's stopped by his own twin, and they battle it out, Anakin and Obi-Wan style. It's an emotional fight. Both brothers clearly not wanting to fight. They don't hate each other. They're still brothers. They still love each other, but they're forced to fight each other simply because of this conflict. Both twins get similar wounds, confusing the viewer on which brother is which. Eventually, one of them gets the upper hand and slays his own. The surviving brother looks at Rhaenyra and says, "Your Grace, forgive me." And he meets his brother in the afterlife. For a few days after this episode, everyone was a little confused on which brother was which. I personally thought it would have been very poetic if it would have been Eric, the Greens' twin. I thought it would have been great for the Greens' twin to accept Rhaenyra's claim by calling her Your Grace. Not because he truly believes it, but because of what the Greens forced him to do. And this is his brother's belief. So, and he's honoring his brother's own beliefs. And he's honoring his brother by calling her Your Grace. But no, it was confirmed that it was Eric. Eric, the Blacksmith twin, who won the fight. Man, both episodes this season. Man, both the beginning episodes. The two first episodes this season ended with crazy scenes, and I'm here for it. I've heard complaints online, but I don't know. I'm enjoying this season so far. Game of Thrones is back, baby. It's great to see good stuff come from Game of Thrones again, okay? I didn't think I'd see the day. Oh yeah, and Allison continues to have sex with Cole.